Hey everybody, welcome to part 3 of the wire tuck on the IS300. I want to give you guys a quick update. For the past 2 weeks since the last video, it's been raining non-stop. For all my Florida viewers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Not the ideal conditions to be running wiring harnesses, prepping engine bays, and painting and all that stuff. So today, finally, kind of had a break in the weather in the morning, so I decided to bring the chassis harness back over here. I kind of just lay it out in the configuration that I wanted. Passenger side is good to go. I got it somewhat mocked up already over there. Driver's side is going to take a lot of work, but I got a plan. It's not going to be too difficult. This is going to be a lot of deep panning, reinstalling the plugs, just in order just to snake the wiring harness exactly the way I want. But for the most part, as far as engine bay prepping, I've gone through it with those 3M green scrubbing pad. Eventually I will get in there with about maybe like a 140 grit sandpaper and then possibly like a 180. Get everything all nice, sanded down, prepped, clean. We got the denatured alcohol. We got the actual base coat. I'm still waiting on the cans of primer to come in, and I'm waiting for the clear to come in. And then once those items come, owner of the vehicle and myself, we're gonna do a Harbor Freight run, buy a couple of those cheap spray guns that they have there, because I don't feel like cleaning guns and shit. I'm just gonna use them and throw them away. But for the most part, we're hoping lay primer and base on Friday. All right, IS300 wiring harness. So far, if you take that out, that's what it's gonna look like. Obviously, that goes through the firewall, so pretend it's not even there at all. This is gonna get wrapped up with electrical tape, and I'm also going to do heat shielding on this section because that's where the engine is going to sit. Down pipe is going to go like right through here, so this section in particular is going to have to be shielded very well. I might end up building a heat shield here along the strut tower to protect the fuse box and the battery from the heat of the turbocharger. I have the fuse box bolted down. The battery tray is just sitting there, not bolted down, but just to get a general idea of how everything's gonna fit in there. But if we come down here, that pre-existing hole, I have all the wires, all these plugs magically fit through there. I didn't have to depin anything or even make the hole bigger. Focus, focus, focus. There you go. I am gonna put something here on the edge to protect the wiring, so don't worry about that. And this is just gonna get tucked up with special zip ties I bought that clip in the holes. So once that's all in there and the engine base all painted, then I can go ahead and do the extension for all the plugs that are here. Now on this side, this goes through the firewall for the wiper motor. This is the beeper for the keyless entry. I have this fuse box mounted up already because this fuse box is going to stay here, or relay box rather. Here's the wiring harness coming out of it. Now you see I drew a circle around this hole that I'm going to cut out, and this wiring harness is going to go through there. So all this junk, same thing on the other side, can go on the back side of the chassis. And all these ECU plugs for the chassis, I had to separate from this loom, remove this insulation plug, and with the Figs Engineering harness extension, I could run the ECU possibly inside the cabin. Master cylinder hole is drilled out already for the clutch. Put that in there. I gotta make the hole a little bit bigger to fit that piece in, but for the most part it lines up. The master cylinder sits perfectly straight up and down vertically, and yeah, that's what we got so far. Alright, now, like I said, passenger side is good to go. Now I came up with the task of getting all of this crap through that hole. Obviously, it's not going to fit. That hole's way too small. So what I did was I found this random piece of pipe, and the diameter is about 2.5 inches. And I kind of test fitted it through all these harness and plugs, and for the most part I was able to get about 90% of the harness through. So you know what, that's good enough for me. I went ahead and put it over the pre-existing hole and traced it out with a Sharpie. So now I have a nice line to go off of when I'm ready to start cutting it out. let me show you what I'm going to be using. There is already a hole there. Can't exactly use a hole saw because your pilot drill bit has nowhere to go. So what I'm going to do, this is going to suck, it's going to take forever. Got this guy, instead of focus, I'm going to use that to enlarge that hole. So let's see how it goes.
But the press and the industry don't realize it, but it's all good, it is what it is.
The hole is complete. I got my 2.5-inch diameter pipe and it fits cool. So what that allows me to do is I can get on the internets and I can order a rubber grommet that's 2.5 inches in diameter to A, protect this wiring harness, and B, to keep the weather, water, dirt, dust, debris from coming in through here and dirtying the engine bay. We don't want that. We want to keep this engine bay as clean as possible. So that's complete. Now I'm going to attempt to feed all the plugs and this wiring harness. Actually, no, I can't. I got to depin, and then I can feed it all through there. And I also got to cut this little hole out. All right, everybody. The next day. So the wiring harness, I have it coming out of here now on the passenger side, and it's going to run along here, and that's where it's going to end up, and I'm going to have to extend all of these. I decided to go up here rather than in here to give the wheel more travel, because it's going to be on coilovers and it's going to be lowered just so that the wiring harness will be up and out of the way and it won't come in contact with the tire. And then on the driver's side, here's the factory relay box. I depinned it, and that's where it's going to sit. Made a new hole for it. ECU plugs, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do here. I got to wait for the Figs Engineering ECU harness extension to come in so I can plug that in and lay it out and decide where I want to mount the ECU, and to see if I have to drill any more holes in the firewall for that, because I'm definitely going to put the ECU inside the cabin. Same thing here. I temporarily mounted the fender with one bolt, and originally I was going to secure this wiring harness here, but that's when I decided it's going to be a bad idea because the tire might hit it. So I'm going to have to put it on the inside, just like I said on the passenger side, to just to avoid any future casualties with the tire. But other than that, I brought the headlights in. I'm just going to bolt them up real quick so I can decide what to do with all the headlight plugs. If I can snake them in and behind the headlight somewhere, or do I need to drill another hole right here and run the headlight plugs through that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and reattach. Before I was rudely interrupted, I'm going to reattach the brackets that go here for the headlights, temporarily bolt them in, and figure out what I'm going to do with that. So hang on. Alright, got the driver's side headlight mounted with the fender and the lower bracket, and it looks like I have a little bit of room here, if you focus through there, to snake the wiring harness up and reach all the plugs. So on this side, I don't have to cut any new holes, which is good. I don't want to cut any more than I have to. It's already got one hole there and one hole back there, and obviously the master cylinder for the clutch. I'm pretty confident both of these sides are symmetrical, so I'm not even going to bother mounting this headlight. So that's awesome. That's good news for me and the customer. No new holes, and I'll be able to tuck those up very nicely for the headlight. These I'm going to have to extend about, I don't know, maybe 6 inches. The headlights are going to need to be extended about maybe 6 or a little bit more inches. Same thing over here. This harness is just going to run along the top here. I believe this bundle here is the headlights, and that's obviously not going to reach. So I'm going to have to add like maybe 4 to 5, maybe 6 inches. I might just do 6 inches everywhere. Once we can get a break from this rain. Well, it's pretty nice today. It was raining up north, but it's been raining every day here in South Florida in the afternoon. But once that happens, I really just want to get this engine bay painted so I could get the engine and transmission in, and then get that fixed engineering harness. And then I think I'll start. I'll permanently install the chassis harness and start extending everything that I need to extend. I think everything would be downhill from that. So with that said, drop a like, leave a comment if you have any questions or any concerns or any advice that you might have if you've done this before. All the wires that I'm extending, I do plan on soldering them. I'm not going to use a single butt connector or crimp anywhere on this car. Everything's going to be properly soldered, heat shrink, and I need to find a heat resistant protector for the wiring harness there along the firewall where it's going to meet the, well, not meet, but have close contact with the downpipe. But other than that, hopefully the next episode in this series is going to be painting the engine bay. So stay tuned for that. I'm excited, customer is excited, and I hope you guys are too. Catch you later.